Hello again, everyone. I've got one more way of using eyeshadow. I found another one of these Body Shop packs in my box. I don't know whether I bought them as a trio or it's a special deal or something, but it didn't look as if I've used them at all. Anyway, this morning I had a go with this last set of 4 cubes. And what I used them with was this 3D embossing folder from Sizzix. I just used scraps. I was just playing around, really. So I'll just show you what I did. I'm planning on making a masculine card today. This is where we're going, but I'll just show you the process in the interim, and then we'll talk about the construction of this card afterwards. Okay, the first thing I did was to ink the inside of the front. This is one with where the label is for this embossing folder. Ink the inside of it with Versamark. So just putting some over there like this. So this is the side that is scooped out. This is the side that the bits are sticking up. So I'm inking this side. Okay, right, I've just got a scrap. This is what I was cutting all those bits out of. These are the cut-offs from making a square card out of a sheet of A4. So just all I'm going to do is to pop this inside this embossing folder and close it up. Okay. Now, I have started using the replacement plates for my Spellbinders Platinum 6. I started off with the shorter ones that came with the machine, but they brought out a new complete set of plates with a base plate, a platform base, and then you've got a platform top. Now, those two together make the equivalent thickness of what the original base plate was. Then you have 2 cutting plates, regular cutting plates. There's a tiddly shim, and down there I have got an embossing mat and something else. I can't think what they call it. They call it with fancy names. What do they call this one? An adapter plate. There you go. So I have an adapter plate, 2 cutting plates, a shim, and a rubber mat. Now, previously, these Sizzix 3D embossing folders were quite problematic to get through the machine with the existing plates. But I've discovered with this one, if you take the platform top off, put the embossing folder directly on the platform base, and then just put 1 cutting plate on the top, it goes through and does the business really, really perfectly. So that was an advantage. But one reason...
I didn't understand that.
Oh, for goodness sake. Get on your bike. What was I saying when I was so rudely interrupted? Yes, it fits perfectly. So there is my bit of embossing, and there's a very thin film of Versamark on the top. So this is where I want to start using my eyeshadows. I'll just bring this bit of... This one is shiny. I don't know if it's easier to clean or what, but we'll try it over like this. Okay. This is where I'm going to start using this. Now, I started off, when I was doing this one this morning, by scraping some off with a little scraper, as I did the other day. But as it's only Versamark and not glue, I thought I might just go directly to these instead. So I'm going to start with the lightest colour, just pick up a little. I didn't like using the brush directly onto that. Just look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And how you arrange this, where you put what, is kind of up to you. You can just look and see. This is a sort of a more yellowy silver, and this one is a more black silver, but very pale. So, I mean, you could put some shading onto this any way you like. What I was doing this morning when I did this one was just play, and I finished up here cutting kind of 2 columns of these twisty leaves or whatever they are. I can't remember what they're. I'll look up the name and I'll put it in the description of this particular embossing folder. But the glimmer on it is just beautiful. I will spray it with hairspray before I add it to the card, just to seal it, because I don't think that eyeshadows have the fixative in that things like luscious powders would have. So here we go. Here's a darker one. Let's put it down the bottom. Look at this. Look at that. Isn't that fabulous? I can imagine that you could you know, put shadow, add a bit of. Oh God, it's gorgeous. Just look. So this is the process. This is how you do it. You just Versamark the inside of your embossing folder, pop in your card, and then simply use your eyeshadow, whatever. And as these were sort of, you know, greys, and that's a very deep blue. This is a very deep blue, very deep. I thought it might be good for a chap. So that's the whole process. Just simply Versamark and add some colour. Absolutely simple. Okay, I'm just going to put that away from. Oh, excuse me, got a frog. For one moment, because I just want to talk about using this particular piece of embossing on a card. Okay, now I don't know if you've heard the expression "mind your P's and Q's," and I wondered where it actually came from, and I looked it up, and they said one of the things was remembering when you're learning. What the expression means to watch what you're doing, be careful, do the right thing, mind your manners, that kind of stuff. Watch your P's and Q's, mind your P's and Q's. So the first one said that getting right the distinction between a P and a Q, where the circle and the stick are on opposite sides of the letter. Likewise, B's and D's. Took me back to when I was teaching, and the kids were having trouble with, you know, when they were learning to write, because I taught little ones, the three R's. I always used to say to them, if they couldn't remember which way round the stick and the ball went with B's and D's, I would say, let me just get a pencil and just show you what I'm talking about. I would say a bat and a ball. A bat and a ball. You get the bat, then you get the ball and hit it. I would say a drum and a drumstick. A drum and a drumstick. Drum, drumstick, bat, ball. So that's how I used to teach the kids. But this business, P's and Q's, similar thing. I don't think I came across a one from Q. The kids seem to be able to remember the Q's because of the flick going on. Anyway, why I'm rambling away like this actually is because I thought of a few P's that would possibly help your card making. And the P's I thought of were position. That's the first one. What position are you going to put your elements onto your card that's going to be pleasing? To me, on this card, the position, the perfect position is in the centre. If you look around, just we can move this around. If you put it, I see a lot of cards where the image is right in the corner, and that to me looks awful. There's nothing this side to balance. Even if it was in there, it would be better than right there. But I see so many right in the corner. It's personal opinion, but position I think is you know, important. Position. That's one P. Another P is perspective. So if you're going to have it looking absolutely flat, you know, you've got no perspective there, which is why I use foam tape to lift sections and make it have some perspective. Some will obviously look further away because it will be further away because you've raised some on foam tape. I'm just trying to think what the third P was that I was thinking of. Position, perspective. Do you know, isn't it awful? This is what being 78 is all about, trying to remember. If I remember it, I'll come back. But the P's together will make, to my mind, for the perfect card. Position, perspective. What was the other one? Do you know, isn't it dreadful? I can't remember. I really can't remember. Anyway, let's go ahead and just put this together. It was something to do with proportion. That was it. Proportion. Got it. And seeing these things reminded me. Proportion. What I thought was this kind of reminded me of rope like you get in on ships and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it might be quite nice to put an anchor to make it into a chap's card, you know. So I cut out 3 different sized anchors. Father bear, mother bear and baby bear. There we go. And so I tried each of them against this. I want to put it on top of there. So another thing to bear in mind is, you know, is the proportion of that kind of too big for that? Can you see enough of the background? So let's take that off. Middle-sized one. I think that's kind of nice. And then the tiddly one. Now that looks a bit lost to me. It's not bad. I mean, you know, it isn't bad, but it looks a little bit lost. Let's try a different position. Let's try a different position for this one. Does that look better in the middle? Or does it look better on the side? I think it looks better in the middle. So position, again, is kind of important. The proportion of the size of what you put on, the size of this to the size of the card, the size of the embellishment to the size of the panel, etc., etc. So position, proportion, perspective, making for a perfect card. Mind your P's and Q's. Let's just put this together, shall we? Okay. What I think I'm going to do, I just cut this down. I didn't intend it being quite so small, but when I was cutting it on my trimmer, I don't know, I just went a bit too fast or something, and I tore a bit of the square I was cutting, so I had to cut it down. And I cut it so that it was just 2 of these kind of columns, so it's not just a random, again, position. Where I cut it was important. So let me just stick this down. Before I do that, I'm just going to give it a quick squirt with hairspray. It is. Won't be a moment. Okay, didn't take a minute. That has now got some hairspray, so I'll leave that just for a second while I do the next bit, and I can do that afterwards. Now I have to decide whether this is going to be raised from that, and that is flat onto the card base, or this is flat onto that, and then that is raised. And I think that flat and this raised would look better. So I also have to think about the thickness of cards when I'm making them, so I don't make them so thick that I have to pay extra postage to go through the British mail. I don't know about in the US or anywhere else, really. But the people in the US say, oh, well, you know, we don't like making square cards because they cost more to send. But there's nothing to stop you putting a square card in a rectangular envelope. And if you're bothered about the flappy bit at the end, just put a thin piece of card in behind your card, and you've got a, you know, a cheaper sized mailing. So this is going to go flat, so we'll put that onto there. Now this should be dry by now, so I'll just stick this straight onto this one. Make sure I've got the right side. That's it. Can't remember the make of the postage stamp. I think it might be in my favourite things. Not absolutely sure, but there are various companies. When I first started card making, die cutting seemed to be a brand new thing. I started in 2007, and I just you know, I was in awe, and the only company that I seemed to see with dyes was Sizzix. And since then, there's been such an explosion worldwide with dyes and die cutter machines and all this kind of stuff, that you can get so many similar things from very many different sources. So I'm just going to put some foam tape on this, and then we'll add this to the background square, and we're going to put an anchor on, and I think we might think about proportion there as well, and perspective, and stick two of them together stacked, so that again it's got more relief, more perspective. So let's just get a bit of glue. Let's have this one. Put a bit of glue onto the top of this. Are you coming out? I ordered a couple of new, as I thought, wide Nouveau glue pens, only to discover that I'd ordered two medium ones, so I still don't have a wide one. So I'll have to start looking for those presently. Right. Now, another thing I've just bought actually is this, which is a pickup tool. So we just have to see. Let's just see if this is going to be better. Okay. Pop that. This is a silhouette pickup tool. This thing's in the other end. So you can, once you've got it on the end of the sticky bit, which is in there, you can just pop it down there. I didn't know what you had to do with this actually, but at the minute it seems kind of okay. So we'll see how we go really. Now I'm going to stick this onto here, and because I have got this shiny eyeshadow one there, I think that kind of glue may well not stick. So I'm going to use this one, which is the white glue. Clear drying craft glue from Nouveau. So I don't know exactly what, but this is more like a PVA, the school glue, I think. Don't really know. But I've just put dots on because that'll be absolutely sufficient to cover it. Now, here's my tweezers. And I think that would look quite nice straight. I was going to put it on at an angle, but talking to you about position, I think this looks better. Right, I'm going to stick this onto the card, and I think we're kind of done. So, I hope you've enjoyed having this, see me play around, trying to remember things that the old brain is having difficulty recalling. I'm not going to put any glue on the back of this. I think I can cope. There we go. And there it is. I think that's kind of cool. So, thank you so much for joining me once again, for listening to my ramblings, and thank you for subscribing and liking and all the rest of it, and thank you for watching. It means a lot to me. Thank you.